Well, hello everybody. Happy coffee chat today to you today. Good morning, Tim and Mary and Philip and Dennis, and a lot of our regulars are here. I hope none of you had any issues. I had some issues logging in this morning. Apparently GoToMeeting had some audio issues earlier today. I guess that's the benefit of the West Coast. They already got them figured out, so we should be okay. But if you did, I apologize for that. That wasn't part of the program. And if you've been in regularly, you know that doesn't normally happen. But in any case, we have a really fun topic today that I wanted to take you guys through. Is, if you've been on the show more than a few times, you've heard us talk a lot about listing exposure and lead generation, and how do we connect and engage with clients, especially in this weird time, right? How do we call them, or what do we talk about, and things like that. And it's really interesting when you think about it. And I'm sure many of you are aware of sort of the concept of a sales funnel, right? So we put leads in the top, and then they continue to get more refined and more qualified, and eventually, hopefully, they drop down into a pot of gold where we get commission checks, right? So Richard's company focuses sort of in the middle part of that process, right? Where it's one thing to get a lead, it's another thing to qualify that lead, but in order to stay with that lead and ultimately turn that into either a seller or a buyer or somebody that wants to work with you, that's where the magic comes in, right? And that's where the money comes in. So Richard's going to talk to us today, where the title is No Lead Left Behind, Lead Routing's Contribution to Lead Conversion. And Richard's been a friend of mine forever. Great to have you on today, Richard. Hope all is well with you. How are you doing?
Glad to be here. Minneapolis is quieting down.
Oh, thank God. Yeah, we had some other folks from Minneapolis on yesterday. Aaron Cardell was here too. So kind of an awful, crazy time. And I didn't think it could get worse than COVID, but I think maybe this is actually worse. So I say prayers for everyone on this one. It's not fun.
On behalf of the Minneapolis, apologizes.
Yeah, it's awful. It's absolutely awful. But let's just jump in. So if for those that haven't been on before, we love it when you ask us questions, because we really want to make the conversation work for you. So go to the control panel, click on that little blue box, the one that says questions. You'll see a little gray triangle. Click on that and open it up. Good morning, Tim. Great to see you here today. And ask us anything that you want. So I actually have a question for all of you guys. I'm going to introduce Richard, but I have a question for you. So Richard is the president and founder of Prospect Converter. He's been in the business for, I don't know, how many years, Richard? Too many years, right?
We're getting, decades.
30, 40, I don't know. We're all mature now, right? We've all been doing this for quite some time.
My dark hair, good eyesight back then.
Yeah, how many people on the call are either brokers, broker associates, managers, or team leaders? Because Richard's got sort of a story for us today that helps both the folks that are managing businesses as well as those that are benefiting from those that are managing businesses. So I'd love to get a sense from you guys. How many of you are actually broker associates, brokers, or team leaders? I think many on the call are agents, and those great messages for you too, but I just love to understand who we've got with us today. So Richard, thanks for joining us, and thanks for doing what you do, because I know you make a lot of the investment that people make in lead generation actually pay back, right? That's the most important thing. So let's just jump in. Tell us about this topic. What is a prospect converter, and why does it matter to us?
Prospect Converter is a system that will aggregate leads from multiple sources and then apply algorithms, rules, and such, so that these leads are equitably distributed to the agents and gives them the best chance to reply immediately and win the prospect.
Gotcha. And I think there's messages here too for once you get one of those leads, what you should do to make sure that they turn into business as well, right?
That's just as important as getting it to the agent or receiving a lead, is what you do afterwards.
Exactly. Okay, so let's just jump in. And again, whether this is a broker or an agent, what are the four rules that you say that turn internet leads into business for people?
Right. The first thing that you have to do, of course, is if you're a broker or team, you want to get that lead to the right agent. That means to the agent who matches the preferences of the lead. You want to get it there immediately. we have all heard this 5-minute rule. Personally, I think 30 minutes is okay. The main thing is to get it to them while they're still on the website that generated the lead and they're thinking of it.
Okay.
Once you get a lead, whether it's from a lead system or one that you get from Zillow or your own website, you have to act quickly on it. You have to make that immediate contact. You have to do it by phone. You have to have a conversation. Text message is second best. Drip email doesn't count in my book. You know, that's not a conversation. That's an excuse, and I think.
Okay. Tell us how you really feel, Richard. I love that. Okay. So then what happened? So I've reached out in real time. I've called them. I've texted them. I've done something. Then what happens after that? Then how do I keep them moving down the sales funnel of success, as I call it?
Yep. Now that you have their attention and they're working with you, it's easy to let them wither away if they're not an immediate prospect. We know that many leads take 3 months, 6 months, maybe longer than that. So it's critical that you don't abandon that lead prematurely. 75% of leads are going to take 6 months or longer. So this helps you to fill your pipeline. And if you have constantly new leads coming in, they roll over in a 6 and 9 month cycle so that there's always something fresh that's ready to do a deal.
Okay, got it. All right, should we go to the next slide?
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay, tell us about how to get the right leads to the right agents and what agents should be doing with those leads.
So a broker or team, an agent comes in, so often they would just go down a list and see who was next. It gets the lead to an agent, but it might not be the right agent. You want to match that lead to the agent's capabilities and preferences. If they deal with luxury homes, you don't want to send them an $80,000 home. You don't want to send me a lead for someone who speaks Spanish. I forgot all but 12 words of my high school Spanish. There's other things. Some have the rule that listing leads go to the listing agent, which is great. But then you run into a conflict. But what if that lead is already working with one of your agents? How do you handle that? So there's a methodology in our system to resolve that issue. What agents like about lead routing systems is that they feel that they're equitable and fair because an algorithm is handling the processing of the lead instead of some broker or manager or team leader who might have a favoritism. It's possible. And whether that's true or not, it's what the agents perceive sometimes.
Gotcha. So this takes that away. And how does the algorithm know that I focus on, I focus on farms? Is there input that you put in when you set up the system to say which agents are best at which particular types of property or geographies or things like that?
Absolutely. We have what we call the qualification funnel, which you see on the list here. There's a number of categories that we can filter by. And basically anything that's in the lead data can be a filter category. And the system lets you filter by one or multiple items here. And you can even make something mandatory, such as they have to be in the right location, so that some lead for the east side of town doesn't go to an agent on the far west side. That just delays the process of making an initial contact, and it might cost you the opportunity to close the lead.
And does the agent, if the agents that are participating in this with a broker, do they have to sort of sign on so that the broker knows that they'll be able to answer something in real time?
Well, that comes down to how you structure your E-team. There are many qualifications there. Some of the main ones are the experience of the agent. An E-team is not a place for a rookie. It's not a training exercise. The broker or team has spent a lot of money to generate these leads. They don't want to hand them off to someone who doesn't know how to handle them. Productivity is another criteria, maybe, so that they have proven skills. They should promise to follow the rules that the management sets up on how to incubate leads and how quickly to respond to them. So these are some of the basic tenets of what makes up an E-team. And also sometimes, they might need someone who's willing to handle rentals. Whereas, a lot of agents, I think foolishly, don't like rentals because they get the sales eventually. but you know, you might need to fill that gap.
Does your system ever work where every agent in the brokerage is participating and not just the folks that have been selected as an E-team?
Absolutely. Even in companies with 2,000 agents, every agent there qualifies to get their own listings very often. Okay.
Got it.
In a smaller broker of 50 agents, they all might be on the team. Now, they might have different criteria, especially in price ranges and such, but they might want everyone to get a lead. After all, you know, that's how your rookies get business.
Mm-hmm. Got it. Okay, good. All right, so tell us about the different ways that lead routing can happen. And for the agents on the call, which is the bulk of the audience today, I'd love you to help them understand the different ways that leads can get to them, or that they can get leads, and which ones you like and why.
Yep. Everyone's familiar with round robin. There's a list here and it goes in order, top to bottom. Prospect Converter's algorithm to build that list is unique, because what we do after we run it through the filters and know which agents are in that subgroup to qualify for the lead, we then order that list so that the agent who's been waiting the longest for a lead opportunity is at the top of the list. We just think that's the fairest way to do it. Round robin's good because it gives everyone an equal opportunity. Now, pool offers, AKA Shark Tank, Jump Ball, or whatever you want to call it, those can be the fastest because it goes out to 10 agents at once and someone's bound to pick it up quickly. On the other hand, that agent who has the best phone reception or the fastest cell phone provider for processing text leads maybe has an unfair advantage. Some agents might squat there and just take the leads. So there can be a perceived unfairness there again in that, but it is fast. Again, listing leads and those from an agent's website might go to a specific agent, but even then, it's in the interest of the broker and the team to make sure that somebody responds to that lead. So if the listing agent, let's say, is in a listing presentation, you still might push that off to some other agent because you don't want to lose that opportunity, which is more important than just following a rule that you get a listing lead.
So is there any way for the agent and or the broker involved with a system like this to know how responsive they are relative to their peers in the company?
No, the broker definitely knows. We have all sorts of reports to measure that and screens that will let them know which leads have never been followed up on. How long did it take the agent to receive a lead? How long did it take them to respond to a lead for that initial contact? Are they consistently following up with the lead? So there are a lot of standards there which can be measured and tracked. And gotcha. For the agent, usually these reports are very handy when you're doing a review and the agent might be saying, how come I'm not getting any leads? And the broker pulls out the report and says, what's your problem? You just didn't accept them. Might be a good reason. Maybe I was driving at a listing presentation in a dentist chair, but you know, it's not our fault.
So even if you don't have a system like this, as an individual agent, the idea of sort of holding yourself accountable still makes sense, right? It may be not as formalized as this is, but that, you know, a lot about lead conversion is about attitude, right? And let's be honest, there's a lot of internet leads that are junk, right? In fact, a lot of studies will say it's like 98% of them are junk. So it's so hard as an agent to know which is the 2% that where the gold is, right?
That's it.
But the truth is, if you're going to get in the game of internet leads, then you kind of almost have to assume they're all good and build a process for yourself that lets you follow up on all of them, and it'll become pretty evident pretty quick which ones are good and which ones aren't, right? But you can't just assume they're all bad.
Yeah, I relate it to the guy in cut off blue jeans or jeans with holes in it and a t-shirt that walks into the Mercedes dealer and they don't pay the time of day, and turns out he wants to buy a $150,000 car. You know, you never know. Someone who the first lead comes in might be for, you know, an $80,000 or $120,000 home just because he was curious about it, but he's really shopping for a $500,000 residence. You can't know until you have a conversation with them.
Exactly. But and I heard a great story about a woman that was in Houston, and she was, like, to your point about rentals, she was looking for a rental, and she wanted a, a decent rental, like, I don't know, I'm 2,500, 3,500 a month. So I mean, it was a nice place, right? Not like she was looking for a one room shanty somewhere. And she talked to many, many agents, none of which would support her except for one. And that one agent, once that person was ready to buy, bought a $30 million house from that rental. Because you never know why someone's renting, right? She was just getting into the market. I think her husband was, I don't remember, this doesn't matter, the circumstances. But the point was, she came into the market, and there were many agents, many of the luxury agents in the market that just wouldn't talk to her because she was only a rental. And she actually went back to every one of the ones that wouldn't help her with the rental and said, sorry guys, but you missed out. I had a big deal coming in behind that, and you refused to talk to me. So
Reminds me of that scene from Pretty Woman where she's trying to buy a new dress and goes in a dress shop and they won't
right,
serve her. Then she comes back and
right.
says, bad decision.
Very bad decision. There was a lot of money sitting there that they were not looking at, for sure. So yeah,
Nope.
never judge a book by its cover, right? Or even
Correct.
its initial request. You just never know where they might take you. It could be a small property, and that's an investor that buys 100 houses a year. You never know, right?
That's it. Could be an investor who wants to buy $600,000 homes.
Exactly. So it's hard because we all have way too many things to do. And like I say, if 2% of them are good, you never know. But if you're gonna play the game of lead gen, then you gotta play it all in, right? You gotta
That's
jump
it.
in and say, I'm gonna do this for every single lead, treat every single one of them as though it might be the one that's gonna give me, make my year.
You're
Okay,
allowed
so
to skip the ones that say have names like Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck and Popeye.
yeah, okay, maybe those are not so great, but the rest, let's take a look at. So let's talk about the different ways that you can get leads. Like this whole idea now, there's a lot of companies like Realtor.com and many others that have the ability for you to buy a lead that's already been scrubbed in effect, right? So you get rid of that problem of the 98% bad, but you pay a lot more for them. What's your perspective on the different ways that agents can go after leads, and which ones do you like and why?
For years, people have asked me, what's the best lead routing and incubation method and such. And I've said many times that if I were a broker, I would take all the leads and incubate them in house until they're warm and hot and ready to transact, and then hand them off to an agent for a small fee to cover my cost. The
Okay.
agent is better off because, who wants to incubate leads? I want to sell homes. The broker's
Right.
better off because more leads transact. Everyone's
Hmm.
happy.
Okay.
The lead's happy because they got immediate contact and a professional incubating them. What's wrong with this story? So a lot of other companies now have gotten into that game, like you say, OpCity, Verse, and a number of others.
Hmm.
And again, if you're too busy to incubate leads on your own, it's not a bad deal. And if you're willing to pass up 30% of your commission, it's a legitimate methodology for sure. Some of the largest brokers in the country use it, of course, in-house. So you
Hmm.
can't, say it's, shame on you or anything like that. Um, some of them have a great plan where you can pay only for performance. You don't pay
Hmm.
anything unless the lead closes. Nothing
Okay.
ventured, nothing gained. You're just out again the 30, 35%. But
Right.
that 65% that you didn't have before. So it's a fair deal, maybe. Other options, of course, are to pre-qualify them in a minor way and then hand them to the agent. So you're getting
Okay.
rid of the really cruddy stuff, but still
Mhm.
up to the agent to incubate them for a month, 2, 3, 6, whatever. Um, of course, the old way to for brokers and teams to hand out leads was for someone to look at a spreadsheet and see who's next on the list. The problem with that is that it took them an hour or two to get around to seeing the leads in their inbox. Then they send it to the agent, it sits in the agent's inbox for 1 or 2 hours. By now, I'm afraid that that lead is picking up the kids from school or doing the laundry or mowing the lawn, and talking about this lead that they even forgot they clicked on is not top of their mind. So automatic has the advantage of being fast, almost instantaneous, and it allows the agent to make that initial response almost immediately.
So this is a good time. I know a lot of as shelter in place is opening up, everybody's getting busy again, right? But if you're still kind of thinking about this, this is a really good topic to kind of have a conversation with yourself about how honestly, do I want to go after, 100 leads, or do I want to go after 2 or 3 that someone else has done the work to find me the diamonds in the rough, right?
Right.
There's no right answer. It's just a really important part because it does take time to curate leads that may or may not ever mean anything to you. So there's no right answer again, but it's something, if you're honest with yourself about how much you really like to do this stuff and how good you think you are at it, then you might want to look at, different routes like this, as a brokerage, for example, of saying, I'm going to put the right lead in the right hands of the right person, as opposed to handing, all the leads to everyone and then just hoping for the best. So there's no right answer, but this is just one option to think about, is a system that makes it a little easier.
Yeah, and
Okay.
you might think of the that pay for performance plan in relationship to an assistant. Is it less expensive for me to hire an assistant and give them this task, or to let a third-party vendor handle it?
That's a really good point. We've talked a lot about on the show, Richard, about how can you or how should you afford an assistant. We had a good conversation with Transactly about a week ago, talking about the different types of assistants that you can buy, and they have sort of a pay per performance assistance support for transaction coordinators and things like that. So similar conversation, right? It's like, this is a time to be really honest with ourselves. We are who we are. We're not going to change. We may learn some new tools. We may figure out how to do that, but they should really sync up with who we are as an agent, right? And who we are as a brokerage. If we're just not these, on internet lead thing is not something that we're about, well, then maybe we're better off to just have someone hand it to us. Like you say, 65% where you don't have to do a whole lot of work and you only pay when it closes. Maybe that's a good idea, but there's no right answer. It's everybody's got to kind of self-examine and say, what's best for them. But let's talk about this, I love this, late is the new worthless. Tell us about that.
Well, everyone's heard about this study. It came out of Harvard, I think almost 8-10 years ago. Someone's got to do a new study, please. That if you respond to a lead in 5 minutes, you have 100 times better chance of making contact and converting that lead. So on and so forth. A 21 times better chance of that turning into a sale. There's problems with that study as it relates to real estate, but the concept is absolutely right. You have to contact them, like I said, when they're still on the website and thinking about the property that they clicked on. Nowadays, they expect a response in less than 30 minutes. And 89% of the consumers said that this is important to them. Okay, so tie that into the other stat here that 75%, give or take, of consumers who make an internet lead, let's say on a listing that you have, are willing to work with the first agent that calls and has a decent conversation with them. How much simpler can it be to make money here? You get the lead in, you call immediately, you have a good conversation, you have some business. This is, though, yet one of the places where most or too many agents just fall down. After all these years, the concept still hasn't sunk in. And I keep repeating it constantly at every trade show to people, but here's a study that Steve Murray at Real Trends did a while back with 100 secret shoppers. And he found out that only 11% of them responded in 30 minutes or less to the leads they gave. And these were leads on the agent's own listing. Definitely a qualified lead with an email address. 43% of them never responded at all.
We actually did a study in our other company, Wave Group, a similar thing, and we saw pretty similar statistics. And we also even took it one step further and said, so if someone, and we did the secret shopper thing, so we'd say, tell me about the listing. That's one, very simple answer. You can just throw back the data from the IDX, right? Even if it's not your listing, and show it to them. But then we took it one step further and said, I've got a child that has allergies, or something that would require the agent to go back and learn more about the house, right? Or how deep is that pool, or just something that wasn't readily apparent in the published information. And the response rate then was even lower. It was more like 76% didn't respond. And
oh my, I've got to work.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, I've got to work, but you would also guess that if someone's asking a question like that, logically, they're more interested, right? They wouldn't be getting into that level of detail if they didn't think that house had some merit for some reason.
Mhm.
And yet the response was even worse. So again, if you're going to play the game of online leads, you've got to, treat it like just like if someone was sitting, standing in your office talking to you about something, because they may in fact be somebody pretty serious. And certainly are looking for, feedback from you, even if they're not the person that ultimately might do business with you. Every time you have an opportunity to create a great impression of your brand and your person, right? You've got to do that,
Yeah.
or just stay out of the game. There's nothing wrong with that either. Many people just have great referral business and they work that network really well, and that's perfect too. But if you're gonna get in it, either get in it or don't get in it, right? Don't If you're gonna do it halfway, then it's just not gonna help you. And
Yeah. So think
you
of it
know,
this way. Yeah. If you're
yeah,
going to spend thousands of dollars a month, maybe on your website, SEO, Google and Facebook advertising, listing websites, lead portals, exclusive zip codes, virtual tours, open houses, and even radio or TV or something like that to generate these leads, then why aren't you following up on them immediately? Stop spending the money. Go
right.
build a wine collection or something.
Right. Go one way or the other. Either go in and then follow it all the way through, or just don't, and go back to a business that focuses more on referrals, or maybe eventually we'll actually have live meetings again. Hopefully that's going to be time soon.
It's
So
expensive to just have your toe in the water.
well, and here's something else that I learned. Actually, I learned when I was selling my own home in New York State. The people that are on Zillow or Realtor or anybody that's bought the position, right? Not necessarily the listing agent, but the second and third and fourth. Those folks have been trained and frankly get rewarded or gigged by folks like Zillow. If they don't answer right away, they get
Right.
kicked off, right? You can't be there unless you're performing at the level that you're supposed to be. So that's the worst thing that can happen in my view is you get a listing, you go through all that hard work, and then agent 234 that isn't the listing agent answers the request faster than you do. That to me is like, oh, you want to kill yourself, right? Like, it's my listing, I want to get it first. So it's really important to remember, that if you're gonna do it, go in deep and make it happen.
Find time to make time.
Exactly. Okay, so let's talk about this now. What are all the advantages of being fast?
Well, one of them that a lot of people don't think of is that if you don't respond quickly, whether it's a team, a broker, or an individual agent, you're hurting your brand's reputation. Consumers say, I had to wait 3 hours for this guy, uh, agent to respond. And it's not that they feel that way. They might pass that on to their other friends who are looking for a home. Don't worry, don't work with them. They don't respond to me, something like that. So, there are ancillary damages that can be done when you aren't paying attention. Uh, those who do respond within 5 minutes, the conversion rates go up 91%.
Wow.
So, you know, again, it's so important, it's so basic there that it's easy. Um, and again, now that you have the lead, you have to make the phone call. Okay.
Mhm.
If you're getting that lead from your broker or team, you have to do that. Lead routing systems can encourage and enforce even that this initial contact's made. Prospect Converter, after the agent accepts the lead, they're immediately taken, or there's a link there to a page where they can immediately update the lead. It's very simple. What did I do? Here's what I discovered. What am I going to do next? Probably takes you 20 seconds, 30 seconds, depending how fast your fingers are, to fill that out. But let's your managers know that you're on top of it, that you completed that conversation, and that goes into your record and makes you look good too. And whether or not you are on a team or in a broker, as an individual agent, you still want to post all that data into your CRM system immediately, because that builds the basis for the next conversation and the next and the next.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. So when I make that comment, that the comment about what I did, how I did it, what happened, what didn't happen, etc., does that automatically connect with my CRM?
Right.
Are they linked?
Yep. In our system, the broker team has the advantage or the possibility of also buying our CRM system, which is tightly integrated in with the lead routing. They're basically one program in essence. And that has other advantages, both for the agent and the broker. For instance, in our system, once an agent accepts the lead, the broker could automatically initiate an email campaign that is specifically matched to the interest of the consumer. So if they want to buy a home, it's a buyer campaign. If they want to sell a home or rent a home, it's one of those campaigns. If it's a luxury listing, a luxury campaign can be initiated. And this is all automatic. You don't have to, the agent doesn't have to remember to go into the CRM and pick out a campaign and get it started. You know, it just happens and it goes out in the agent's name. The broker can also put in there 5, 6 or whatever tasks that are automatically entered for the agent to use as follow-up. These might be the next 5 phone calls, let's say, and they have email and text reminders in them. So again, the broker and team is helping the agent to follow up on those leads. If you have a CRM on your own, very often the same kind of automatic action plan can be initiated when new leads come in. And again, in our system, those are matched to the type of lead that you received.
Gotcha. And can Prospect Converter, the lead routing piece, be connected to other CRMs, or is it just to your own?
We can push the leads into other CRMs. Where the problem is that with ours, the managers, team leader or sales managers have direct access into those leads that the company originated. They cannot see anything the agent originates, but they can see those that the company originates. And they can then track those. They can make sure that the agent's following the standards that have been set. They can even assist the agent with marketing and closing tasks in there.
So let me ask the question that many agents, why they don't like company CRMs. Mm-hmm. If say that the company generated a lead for me, I'm 3/4 of the way down the road, I've just secured them as a buyer, seller, whatever, and then I decide to leave the brokerage, do they come with me or do they stay within the brokerage?
That is a broker's decision. That's not our decision. The broker owns the lead, they generated it. Have a heart-to-heart talk with your broker. However, in our system, it is possible for us to jailbreak the CRM out of the broker's or team's environment so that you don't have to export and import. And every time you export and import leads, about half your data is lost because new systems cannot import tasks, calendars, and other critical information that's in your contact records. So we can jailbreak that and you can take the CRM with you.
Okay, that's good to know, because I know a lot of agents don't want to use broker systems because they're afraid that they're gonna, all their activity is going to get held hostage. Dennis makes a comment. He said Zillow. Handcuffs. Yeah, Dennis said Zillow for many years with leads that he was buying, less than 10% of them had a phone number with them. So I would guess, Dennis, you don't think those are very good leads if they don't even give you a phone number. Hopefully that's changed, because those leads are not inexpensive. On average, he says no, that has not changed. Well, that's not good, because we've done a lot of research about not just Zillow, but those kinds of leads. It can cost you a minimum of $300 a lead, sometimes as much as $1,500 a lead. Not necessarily all good qualified leads either, right? So if you're going to use systems like that, you've really got to know that you're going to do whatever it takes to make them make sense for you. There,
some of those dedicated zip code sites are very expensive.
Very expensive, and they'll promise you 2 or 3 what they would consider hot leads out of the maybe 10 or 15 you get a month. 2 or 3 for $1,500. It's a lot. So yeah, if you're going to use those things, you got to make sure that they're really working for you.
Right.
Okay. So let's go to this. We've been chatty here today, Richard. So tell us about.
Yeah. Just some of the economic advantages here, whether you're using lead routing systems or handling them on your own. But lead routing system can free staff for more important tasks. They're not maintaining this.
We got a couple.
All of your leads are in one place instead of jumping from site to site to manage them. Your lead response time lag is costing you money. Lead routing gets them there immediately. Agents prefer lead routing because they're getting fresh leads. that they know they're qualified for. They're not out of territory or anything like that.
Gotcha.
Lead routing works 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If you don't have staff to handle leads on weekends or at 9 in the evening, you're losing opportunities. Lead routing is still there doing its job. That helps you to track the referral fees that are due from agents for leads that you generate and assign to them if you're charging referral leads. Helps you to enforce the standards and rules for your E-team so that you can track that the agents are following up in the manner that the agent should, that you established. Another stat from Steve Murray is that managers who diligently manage their leads improve lead to conversions from the industry average of 4 to 6% to 15 to 20%.
That's a big difference. So 15 to 20%, it's starting to make sense as opposed to 4 to 6. And I've heard even less than that if you're not really working them. So that makes sense.
Yep. Yep. And lead routing costs a tenth as much as increasing your lead gen spend. So if you want to triple your lead volume, you can either triple your advertising and everything, or just get lead routing and increase your lead conversions.
So just make sure the leads you are getting are being worked appropriately by the right person quickly. And that's going to make everything you do, the return on investment of any kind of lead gen effort, much higher. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So
There's
again,
a
it's
tremendous ROI here.
Through a brokerage, this type of thing makes sense. If you're an individual agent, the same mindset is there, right? If you're going to do lead gen, follow up. If you're not, it's okay. Just, don't pretend that you're doing it because you're just going to waste money. That makes sense.
That's it.
Okay, so tell us about this offer, and then we're going to jump into what's coming for the rest of the week.
Great. The industry has been through tough times, let's say, at the least. Closings are down 70% at the deepest end. They're coming up a bit now, but it's going to be a long haul to get back to normal. We want to do our part here. Just as our CRM doesn't have one size that fits all agents, we have 2 levels for lead routing. We have the enterprise large broker system, very large, very flexible, lots of options and power. We also have a lighter weight version for teams and smaller brokers to use. We're making that version of the system free through the end of the year. No startup fees, no lead charges, no credit card needed, no gotcha, just free. Honest.
Awesome. So if you guys are listening to this and thinking, wow, that would make sense for my team or for my brokerage, here's a good way to give it a shot without any requirements. Just see how it works for you and see if you're seeing the benefit that we're talking about. If you do, then this might be a great system for you. So thank you for that, Richard. I appreciate when brokerage or technology companies are stepping up to help people, because it is a weird and tough time. And again, we just had a whole other round of weird and tough. So who knows what's going on in this world of 2020? It's crazy.
Yeah, it's not 30 to 60 days, but 7 months. And just one disclaimer. Don't be surprised if in December we might give you a phone call to see if you want to continue the service.
Okay, and so they should go to prospectconverter.com/public/COVID-19. Or if they just type in COVID-19 on your website, it probably pops up, I would guess. Is that right?
We'll find it. Yep.
Okay, good. Or just call at 612-333-2220, and then Richard and his team can walk you through all the cool stuff that happens here. Because
if you go to prospectconverter.com, you'll find it.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so prospect, no S, prospectconverter.com is the place to go. Okay,
that's right.
So check that out, everybody that thinks this makes sense for you. Okay, so upcoming this week, tomorrow we've got Drew Ewer. He is the founder and CEO of HomeLight, a company based in San Francisco, that's going to talk to us about great ways for you to really position yourself as an expert in your local market and gather a different type of lead of somebody that's really looking for a top-notch professional, which I know many of you on the call are. You wouldn't be investing all your time and energy getting smarter every day. And then on Thursday, we have Stephanie Rell. She is from HomeSnap. And I love this title, the 5 hidden HomeSnap hacks you should know about. But I think we've had HomeSnap on the show a couple of times. Actually, we've had webinars with them and on Coffee Chat. If you haven't yet checked out HomeSnap, I would definitely go to the App Store and download it. You can kind of see what she's going to show you tomorrow or Thursday. I mean, it's a really cool system. HomeSnap has actually generated 2 million free leads for agents around the country. And there's about 1 million agents that are on it and about 90 million properties that are on it. So it's a really good national app that doesn't play all the games that the other ones do where they have multiple people and all that stuff. So we'll talk more about that on Thursday. That's a real good one for you too. So hope we have all you guys coming back to learn more about these two. Drew's a super sharp guy. He actually started out as a consumer and got so frustrated he built this technology for all of us. So it was interesting. Yeah, and if any of you would like to have us just sign you up automatically so you can get all the upcoming coffee chats, the notification to log in will just come into your inbox every day. Feel free, either put it in the question box, just give us your email address, or send it to me at marilyn@retechnology.com and we'll get you registered so you don't have to worry about that. And and if you haven't yet, there we go. If you haven't yet done this, we'd love you to come join us on our YouTube channel at RE Technology Inc., all one word. Just go there and click on the subscribe button and then make the bell next to the subscribe button solid, and then you'll get notifications every time a recording gets published. So you won't miss out, and of course, feel free to share those with whoever that you think makes sense, or if you want to watch them again or show it to your team or whatever it might be, feel free to do that. And also, we want to make sure that all of you have a subscription to retechnology.com. Many of you should have gotten that through your MLS. It's a $200 value that your MLS provides you as part of their membership. So check there first. Go to those dashboards or look at the link beds or the thing that says products, wherever it is on your MLS, and check that out. If you don't, though, you can get a free 3-month subscription from us. Go to retechnology.com. Top right-hand side, you'll see a section that says Create Account. Click on the monthly option and then use the codes that are listed here, and you'll get a free 3-month subscription. So hopefully that'll help all of you. And Richard, I got to thank you so much for reminding us of such an important topic about lead gen is one thing, but if you don't convert them, it doesn't make any sense, right?
That's where the dollars are.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, and thanks to everybody who came in today. Thanks to all of our regulars. I really appreciate you being here. And if you have any feedback for us, send it to me again, Marilyn@retechnology.com, about topics you might want to talk about or any changes to our format. We love to get feedback to just make this more and more meaningful for everyone. So with that, we'll tune out for today. Thanks, everybody. You have a great day and happy selling.
Thank you.